Good evening, everyone. And thank you for tuning in. Hi, Jatendra. Hi, Faisal. Hi, Hiya. Panchul, good evening. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Hope you and your family are all safe. Great. Hi, Gifty. Saji, hi, Saji. Everybody is coming on now. We'll just wait for another 2 minutes till we have give time for people. Hi, hey, bye, Faisal. Hi, Sonakshi. Good evening. Hi, GV. Hi, Surinder. Raju. Good evening, Natasha. Welcome. Nilpa. Hi. Good evening to you all. Great. So yes, I have an audience. Hi, Devi Harika. Pandu, hello. Yes, Rakesh, good evening. Welcome. Welcome to the evening session. I'm sure all of you all had a great morning session with Shweta. A lot of knowledge on color. Wow. Hi, Abe. How are you? Everything doing well? All doing well? Hi, Amit. Hi, Imran. I'm so happy at least I dressed up for all of you today. Hi, Hiren. Hi, Manish. Hey, hi, Neelam. Hi, Nakash. Very good evening, guys. Thank you all very much for tuning in this evening and sharing your 1 hour with me today. So thank you all very much. Hi, so I like to give an introduction about myself. You all know my name is Melroy Dickson. I'm a hairdresser, and I've been in this profession for almost now, if I look back, about 35 years being a hairdresser. I've learned the craft and got better at it over the years from all the mentors I had in my career. I've been so appreciative and so in depth to them. What we're going to do today? Today I will be demonstrating my personal favorite cut that I love doing, in most of the time, and which is simple. It's effective and very relevant because we all know that many clients out there are all waiting to return and come back to the salons, to all of you, to get their haircut done till when this lockdown is over. And we would all want to do a quick, clean service, a quick, clean haircut, because I'm sure clients will not want to come and spend as much as time that they normally do before the lockdown happened. Okay, now how this cut or the technique that I'm going to work with today and share with you add to the value of your existing knowledge. I know all of you have great number of years experience that you guys have. But I think each hairdresser also, we learn very quickly by only watching somebody cut hair. But it's left up to us to take that technique and make it your own. You just don't need to do it exactly the way that I did it. But take these techniques and work around with your knowledge. Introduce it into your haircut. You all must be having a favorite haircut. So I'll leave this up to you how you're going to use this technique in terms of introducing it into your skill. There are some terminologies that I would be using throughout the haircut. I'll walk you throughout the terminologies that we normally work with as hairdressers. Great. So yes, we're having a lot of people come on board. Hi Jatinder. Hi Lakshmi. Hi Payal. Hi Sanju, Devendra Sharma, good evening, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Rohan, hi Amit, great. Okay, so before I go ahead, So I just want to take you all through a few of what just a landscape of as a hairdresser, what we need to keep in our minds while working on a head. So we all know now this is a dummy head, which with all thanks to Cheffy, who we did a masterclass with Christian in Monaco, and we use this dummy head, to help the hairdressers to understand the landscape of the head. So if you notice, I've taken out here. So this is normally the fringe section, where it's about 2.5 to 3 inches away from the hairline. This is the section where whenever you're working on a bang or a flick or a fringe, this is the section that we work with. So that's where your center parting is, and this is the top of the head. And normally we section the hair out from a ear-to-ear section. Now, something which is very interesting that a lot of us overlook is when we're looking at a recession area. The recession area also, you have a high recession point, you have a middle recession point, and you have a low recession point. Now, depending upon the shape of the head, the size of the head, depending upon the haircut that you want to use, the haircut you're going to do, these are the points that you really need to take, keep in mind while you're doing a haircut. So I've traced it out even on the other side as well. So you have the high, you have the middle, and you have the low recession point. Now, when we look at the back of the head, we also need to keep in mind that we have a top of the crown, we have middle of the crown, and we have the low part of the crown. This again depends upon what's the haircut, because you've noticed from the top of the crown right up to the occipital bone is the widest range of the head, and that's exactly where most of our layering sits. Okay, so very important, and we all know that whenever you're doing hairdressing or whenever you're cutting hair, you work with two main lines. Basically, you have a stationary guideline, where I've traced it out here, where you have a stationary guideline and you have all the hair, when you take section by section, comes down to your stationary guideline and then you cut it. Okay, now other than the stationary guideline can be worked out from the back of the head, as well as you can work from the front of the head, which I will be doing my haircut, where I will be establishing my guideline from the hairline, which will be my stationary guideline. Now, another thing for you to understand, other than the stationary guideline, we work with a traveling guideline. Okay, so you have a traveling guideline. A traveling guideline means you work with your center profile section, and then with every section that you work with, moving around the head, you will always take a section from your previous cut section as your guide, and you will be working around the head. So that's your traveling guideline. Okay, so just to give you all, I understand these are all very basic, but sometimes we tend to forget our basic because we are so hooked upon, doing advanced stuff. Okay, great. So I will be answering questions to the end of the session. While I'm doing live on a demo, I will not be able to answer questions, but yes, I will take your questions towards the end pertaining to the haircut which I just demonstrated. Okay, is that cool? Hi Tanishka. Hi Irvin. Great. Okay. So that's just a landscape of what the head head is when we work. Okay, so now the haircut, as I said, now the haircut that I'm going to demonstrate is going to be, you can work on long hair, you can work on a medium length, and also as far as above. Okay, now I have set up this dummy head. Now the reason that I did the setting is because if I had to do the cut on wet hair, I wouldn't have had the time, or if I had to blow dry going live, which would be very boring, and also with the noise of the dryer. So all I did. So basically this haircut can be done wet and it can be done dry. Okay, so the reason I sectioned it out and kept it so it'll be easier for me to work with it, and I can show you the different techniques that go into this. Now, in this haircut, I am going to play around 3 different angles, right? So, 3 different angles. Okay, now another thing before we start, what I normally, a lot of people ask, what do I do before I do a show, or what do I do before I do a haircut? I'm just going to stretch myself a little bit. So if all of y'all are in the mood to stand up a little bit, and then I'm just going to stretch a little bit because we have the whole 8 hours to stand and cut hair. We're always on our feet. So great, so now we're ready to go. Everything is loosened up. So now I'm going to bring my client back. Okay. so so basically, as I told you, you can do this haircut on wet hair and dry hair as well. So ideally on wet hair, you will divide the hair into 5 sections, where the crown, the top is your crown section. You will that be your section 1. The side will be section 2. The opposite side, section 3, and at the back I'm going to do the whole back as section 4, and from the occipital bone below will be section 5. Okay, so now the very important thing is I use different tail combs, just out of my personal thing. So I use different tail combs. Cutting combs. I always keep a tail comb at hand, and I always keep a detangle, and my styling brushes, which is very essential. So these are the basic tools that you require. So each brush gives you a different effect. The reason I like the longer one, so you have more hair to work with. And also you can have different sizes of scissors. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to release my section 1. Okay, so this is where I am going to establish my guideline. Now your guideline you will establish according to the length you're working with. Okay, if the hair is longer, then your guideline will be longer, right? Can everybody see it? And if the client doesn't mind going shorter, you can go shorter as well. So I am going to start off with a section where I'm going to keep my guideline just below the chin, and I'm going to point cut. I'm going to point cut into it, right? So that's going to be my guide. Okay, now, so I'm going to take my next section. I might go out of the frame, but it's fine. It's important for you to see elevation. Now the elevation, once you've cut your gut, so that's going to be my guideline, right? Now this whole top section, I'm going to over direct to the top. So when I'm saying 90 degrees to the hairline means 90 degrees to the hairline. Okay, so I'm going to pick up my next section. I'm going to comb. Again, hold it 90 degrees to the hairline. I'm going to see whether my guideline is visible, right? And I'm going to cut. Now if you notice, by over directing and working with a stationary guideline, I am maintaining my length as I go. Okay, so then I'm going to take my next section. So I'm using my rollers to control it. You can always, this haircut, you can do it on wet hair as well, okay? I'm doing it as I told you because I want to have a good result towards the end. So again, you're going to over direct it and you're going to point cut it into your thing, okay? So that's the top done. So automatically, when I elevate my hair, because the hair traveled to a guideline, you automatically get an increased angle which is short going long. So you know that you've maintained your length. Okay? Now for the sides, then I'm going to show you two different ways. Okay? So I'm going to keep my cut section away now. So I'm going to release my hair on from the side. So to cut this, I'm going to use a guideline from this box section. So I'm going to trace my guideline out from here, which is, so you see automatically I have a guideline which is short going long because I over directed. So I'm going to pick up, I'm going to comb the hair straight up. If you notice, I'm standing behind my section. So I'm going to hold the hair straight up and I'm going to follow my guideline, which is short going long, and I'm going to point cut into it. Okay? So again, I'm going to pick up. This is my favorite cut, guys. This is a sure shortcut. You can't go wrong with it because you're working with a guideline at every point. So now I'm going to over direct. Now when you over direct all the hair going straight up, you're going to maintain your length and you're going to have your layers towards the end. Okay? So this is one way you can do the side. Okay? Bringing all up. So I'm going to show you another technique how you can do the side. On this side. Okay? Still following the same effect of it, right? So I'm going to release my section from here. Okay, now I'm going to take a vertical section. Now this is another way of doing this, where you want to have more layers. This section we picked it up straight up. You're getting layers, but more towards the end and maintaining length. Okay. Now here I'm going to pick up a little corner from my guide here. Now if you notice, I'm elevating the hair where the client's head rounds off, but 90 degrees to the recession area, right? That's where my guide is, and I'm going to cut it this way. Okay? It's going to give you the same effect, but you're going to have a little bit more layers, right? You're going to take the next section again. Again, I'm over directing it. So I'm still going to have a short going long angle at the sides as well. So yeah, so that's where so if you notice, okay, so that's the angle. So I'm cutting it at where the head rounds off here, here, yeah. Okay, and then I'm going to point cut into it. Okay, so you've seen two different ways, right? Straight up to maintain length and just layering towards the end. But when you cut it around where the head rounds off, you're going to get more layers and it's going to be slightly shorter. Okay, now I'm going to move to the back. Now for the back, I'm going to remove all my my rollers, but only as far as the occipital bone. When I was training as a hairdresser, I was very bad with rollers. But I think over the time, you know, you learn. Okay, so now I'm going to the back. Now, for the back, I'm going to pick up my guideline from the last cut section, what I cut just now. Okay, now, if you want to maintain length, then you're going to take a full section and bring straight up and cut it in a square. If your client has very long hair, then you can also increase your angle and still maintain the length. Okay? That is one way, where you will pivot around and you will work straight up. So with this effect, you're going to get layers towards the end and you're going to have more, the hair is going to look more heavier, right? But for my haircut, I'm going to take a vertical section and I'm going to elevate the hair again to where the head rounds off. Okay? So I have my guide here. So I'm going to work with my guide is what's short. I'm going to let it drop and I'm going to work with my guide, which is from the last section of my top section, and I'm going to point cut. Okay, and I'm going to point cut, right? So I'm going to work in that manner throughout. I'm just going to section the hair so it looks a bit cleaner. Okay, I will get rid of all the, because anyway the hair is short. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take, I'm working with a traveling guideline and I'm going to work again where the head rounds off. I'm not cutting it straight, where the head rounds off. Yes, here I can see my guideline here and I'm going to point cut. Okay, then I'm going to take my next section. Again I'm going to take, so basically I'm pivoting around the head. So again, if you notice the angle, I'm holding it here. It has to be a straight line when you're cutting hair, right? And you're going to point cut, right? Again here. Again, I'm going to comb the hair up. Maintaining my angle, seeing where my guide is, and I'm point cutting, right? Then coming to the second last section of my hair, just behind the ear, again combing up, again holding it, seeing where my guide is visible, and I'm going to point cut. Again, taking the last section behind the ear and working. Okay, so I hope you can see the sections. So I'm going to work on the other side. Now because I'm working from the camera, I'm going to work from the, again starting from the center back, picking up so you can see my section well. Again, I'm going to pick up from my traveling guide. Again, I'm going to elevate. So if you noticed, I am working where the head rounds off out of the head. Okay, that's where my guide is visible. And I'm going to point. Okay, so again, I'm going to pivot again from here. I'm going to pivot. Again, pick up a section from my previous cut section. Again, I'm going to elevate it. And I can see my guide and point cut. Again, I'm going to pivot. Again, I'm picking up. I'm going to comb. I'm going to turn the dummy head so you can see the angle. So again, I'm going to turn it, yeah, okay. So you can see my guide from the back and you're going to point cut. Okay. And I'm going to finish my last section, my last two sections. Now the reason, if you take subsections, then you're going to get a very wavy kind of a line. Okay, so it's important that you keep your sections around the same, same amount of hair that you take every section, and then you point cut. So then I come to my last section, which is just behind the ear. And again, if you notice, I am, can you see where my guide is? And I'm point cutting into it, okay? Now, so basically you've learned one technique where you pick up all the hair straight up and cut to maintain length. And also, if somebody who wants layers only towards the end. The technique which I just used, cutting at this angle, is where you get more layers, right? Length can go slightly short, but it's up to you. You can keep the occipital bone from the hair below the occipital bone, and then you can blend it towards the end. Now, the third technique which I'm going to do for you. So this technique, what I'm going to do for you, I normally do it on curly hair, because you know, as hairdressers, whenever we cut a square layer or an elevation which is 90 degrees out where the head turns off, the curly hair finish look always looks like a stack, right? So it's like that, and then you have a lot of volume here. So for this technique, so I also do this on, I blow dry the hair, and I also do this technique on blow dried hair as well. Here in this case, yes, you will be losing length, but the beauty of this technique is where it removes the maximum bulk around this part of the head, as you know that this is the widest part of the client's head, okay? So now for this technique, I'm going to work with a lot of visual, right? So again, I'm going to take a center profile line, but I'm going to maintain it only as far as the occipital bone, because I want my length to look thick. Okay, so I'm going to comb the hair out. I'm still going to work with my guideline, which is on top here. I'm going to hold the hair out. You see how I'm positioning my fingers onto an angle. I'm going to stand like I'm running a race. I'm going to keep my scissor from top, and I'm going to slide cut. I'm going to slide cut into my length till I reach the end. So basically what I've done is I've created even more softness, but I've removed bulk from here. So I'm going to work in this manner. I'm going to turn the head. Always remember when you're doing this technique, because this is a dolly head, I can turn her, but when you're working on a client, you will be walking around, you'll be moving around your client's head. Very, very key point is the section that you are cutting. The section that you're cutting has to be to the core of your body, to the center. You cannot stand here and do it, or you can't stand here and do it. Am I clear? So for you to point, whichever section you're cutting, you will stand bang opposite section, and the section is to the core of your body, absolutely straight out of the head. I am not over directing that way, neither am I going down. Okay, so I'm going to comb the hair straight out, making sure I've taken my guideline from the side section as well. Plus I have a guide on top here which tells me where do I need to start. Again, hold, distribute the hair nice and well. Make sure that you angle your finger, and then you're going to run a race, and you're going to work with the heel of your scissor. So basically I'm working with the heel of my scissor, and I am working right to the end, because I know that I've taken the hair only as far as the occipital bone, so my length is intact. Okay, so again I'm going to take a next section, a guideline, since I'm working with a traveling guideline. Again, if you notice, I'm pivoting from the center point. I'm always touching base with my center point here. So again, I'm going to comb the hair out. Again, make sure that it's flat out of the head. I'm going to angle my fingers, and using my scissor, the heel of my scissor. So this is the heel of your scissor. I am not cutting with the tip. The heel of your scissor, you need to have a good pair of sharp scissors. Okay? So then you're going to work with that, and you're going to work slide cutting right to the end. Okay? So with this haircut, it's more softness, you get a little bit of more movement. It's also something different for you to do as a hairdresser. But when you're doing it, I'm sure most of you will be doing a lot of dry haircuts. But you notice I'm keeping it only as far as the occipital bone, because I do not want to diminish my length. Okay? So again, I'm going to comb the hair straight out, hold the hair out, and I'm going to slide cut into it. So now I'm going to just speed up a little bit. I hope you've understood the technique, because I need to show you something in the front as well that I normally do. So you're going to hold straight out, and then keeping your guide, and then you slide cut into it. I hope you like enjoying my background music, because we are Matrix, we are fun. We like to have fun, we like to have music, we like to dance as well while we work, yeah. Because in Matrix, learning is fun, guys. Okay, so I'm going to continue doing this on both the sides, so I don't waste your time now. Okay, so I come to the last section at the side, behind the ear. So if you notice, you can see the softness because of the slide cutting technique. You can see the softness which is created. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. So I'm going to work again, starting from the center. am I in the frame? Yeah. So I'm going to comb the hair out straight, keep my finger at an angle, and I'm going to So I hope you've understood the technique. So I'm quickly finishing, guys, because I need to have some time to talk to all of you as well. I'm still maintaining my angle. I'm still working with my guidelines. So you can see that automatically you're creating nice volume as well as you go. I love doing dry haircuts, especially when I'm doing shows, because it, otherwise it gets a little bit boring. But I understand at salons, you can do a nice treatment first, blow dry your client's hair, and then do a haircut as well, So, but I would advise you to practice first. Dry haircuts do look easy, but sometimes the key to a dry haircut is always you need to be visual. Make sure that you see your guideline. And another very important thing is also making sure that your scissors is nice and sharp. So basically you can see that you end up taking away unwanted bulk from the hair. I'm going to complete my last section behind the ear. Again, if you notice, I am holding the hair straight out. I am not over directing or doing this, but straight out, because we need to remove the bulk around this area. And it's a very, very good technique for you to do it on curly hair, but I would advise you to do it on curly hair with wet hair. Okay, this is nice when you have working on wavy hair. So if you notice, I've layered it. Okay, so can you see my layers? Yeah. Now, if I want to do the same thing on the front, if I want to do like a face framing as well. Now, when I'm working on the left-hand side of the client, so I'm going to bend the head to the right-hand side. I'm going to take a section, and now, again, working with the same technique, I'm going to comb this hair straight out. Now I'm going to decide where do I want to give it. I want to face frame the frame from her chin line. Okay, so I want to start my face framing from the chin. Okay, so I know that's where I need to start. So the reason I'm bending the client's head is because, number one, my scissors cannot hurt her. Okay, so I know where to start it from, so I'm going to bend to the side, and I'm going to again work with my slide cutting technique. So automatically then I take the next section. Again, I'm going to comb it straight out. So now I have my guideline, which is sitting here, and I'm going to slide cut into it. I'm going to take the last section from the side here. And I'm going to now when I work on the other side, I'm going to tilt my client's head on the other side, so she's away from my scissor. Again, I'm going to take a diagonal back. You can take a diagonal back section, you can take a vertical section, it's up to you. You're going to comb the head absolutely straight. Again, I'm going to check where do I need to start from the chin. So I'm using the chin as my shortest point. I'm going to work here, straight out, and I'm still using the slide cutting technique. Now I'm going to take my next section. Now if you notice, you see that I have quite a bit of a balance. If you look at her, I have quite a bit of a balance. You know, yes, there is softness. I can see the separation. I can see that, you know, I have a balance there. Now, if I still want to work with the top of the head, suppose I want to give her something asymmetric. Okay, so I'm looking at which side will my client's hair fall better. So I'm going to check first, will it look better this way or it's going to look better this way? I think it's holding better this way. Okay, now for this, now I'm going to take a diagonal section on top. I'm taking a diagonal section in the crown area in front of the hairline. And I'm going to use a back cutting technique. A back cutting technique. So can you see my dummy head? Yeah? Okay. So you'll have to see this. Okay. So I'm going to pick up, since this is my shortest point, which I cut at the side, I'm going to use that as my guide. And I'm going to hold the hair straight out from the hairline. Okay, and I'm going to back cut. I'm going to take the next section, only the box section on top. I have my guide below. I'm going to comb the hair straight out. I have my guideline which is sitting at the bottom, at the back, underneath. I'm going to hold the head out, and again I'm going to, so you're going to back cut. Now because the hair is traveling from this other side, it's going to be longer on the other side. Okay? So when I'm doing a back cutting technique, again I'm still using the heel of my scissor but moving my scissor very, very finely. Very, very finely. Okay? So I'm still working on the top of the head. You will carry on back cutting till the hair doesn't reach, because we've already layered it. So yeah, so this is going to be my last section, and so you notice you just cut not much, just a little bit of hair that comes out, right? So automatically when you comb the hair the other side, it's going to be longer on one side, right? So yeah. So now you can't do this to your client, but I can do it to my dummy head. So I'm just opening up my haircut. Right, so I'm just going to open it up. I'm going to use a little bit of the Matrix hairspray. I'm so happy that I had these dummy heads at home that I could share my knowledge with you all. Our clients love the volume, right? In India, we still have clients who love the volume, but if you don't want to have the volume, you can also tongue it if you want. you can flatten it a little bit as well, but a lot of our clients still do love the volume. Yeah. So, or you can also use a tong as well, okay, to tong it away from the face. Okay, so that's my haircut, guys. I hope you'll like it. So basically, just to do a recap, we know that this haircut can be done on 3 different lengths: hair which is very long, mid length, as well as a shoulder length as well. You will determine your guideline according to the length that you want. If your client wants longer length to maintain the length, then your guideline is going to be longer, because at the end of the day, everything is connected. So by using a stationary guideline here, over directing, I've created my angle. Again, I'm picking up my guideline from here and then deciding whether I want to cut it straight off, square it off, or do I want to cut it where the head rounds off, or I want to remove the maximum bulk here, where you will work with it absolutely parallel, straight out of the head, and then you do your slide cutting technique. Now, if you don't do the slide cutting technique while working parallel out of the head, you can still use it on wet hair as well. So please, the techniques that the slide cutting technique, I would advise you to do it on dry hair only, because when the hair is wet, you tend to cut much more off than required, right? So on dry hair, you still have control. So that would be my advice to you when you're doing haircut. So this haircut, so you've learned 2 different ways of doing the side. So all the 3 techniques you can do for the whole head. So if you want to do maintained length, you can still do the square layers straight out from the top here, cut the sides, and work the same way at the back. If you want to give more layers, I showed you on one side where you can take your guideline for the sides to the side where the head rounds off, and working with that as your guideline, you over direct, and then you work with 90 degrees out of the curve of your client's head, and you work with that. That's the second technique. Okay, so basically you can have 3 haircuts out of this one haircut. And the third one was, I said you can do it on curly hair when you're working parallel out of the head to remove the maximum bulk. If your client has wavy hair and she wants to remove bulk, you can also do it dry. Okay, so you shampoo, you condition, you blast dry the hair till it's about 80%, put in your styling product, and then you do a nice blow dry, and then you will roll it well, and then you do a haircut. Normally that is better when we do shows, and I'm sure most of you all would have seen me do it while I was doing when I'm doing shows as well. I like doing dry haircuts, so it's faster, so I don't spend too much of time. Right, he wants to see the back of the haircut. Okay, so that's the back of the haircut, guys. So automatically you see that you have a lot of layers, and you notice that there's no bulk here. That's the beauty of this technique. You don't see bulk here. You don't see it standing out like a like a stack. Okay, so you see it here. Okay, so then you see this. So that should look beautiful. Okay, so I think I have time. I have time for a few questions. If anybody has anything in terms of asking me any questions pertaining to this haircut. I'm so sorry I missed my flip chart. I normally love drawing flip chart or my flip chart, and I always tax you all by asking you all, okay, where did I take my guideline from? Now tell me what's the next section. So I used to keep you all interactive, but anyway, this virtual training also is keeping us connected, and I'm so happy that I can connect with you all on this platform and still educate you all. And amazing to see that all of you all have taken your time out in logging on, and it gives me great pleasure. And I will always be there to share whatever I can share with you all, guys. So I'm waiting for some questions. I'm getting a lot of appreciation. Thank you so much, Pinky. Thank you, Naina. Thank you, Nishan. Want to see my round brush, Nishant? Okay, this is my round brush, Nishant. This is a titanium one. Yeah, so you have a round brush. This is my round brush I normally use. I like to use the medium. I don't like using a very large round brush because India, our hair is so thick. It's always nice to work with a medium brush. I also have a flat titanium brush. This is something when you want to do like a more straighter blow dry. You know, a more straighter blow dry, and also helps you, you know, in working with the baby hair. So it gives you more control. And I've got the same titanium, which is a smaller diameter if I need to work, you know, when I want to work with, you know, more vertical ringlets. What is the benefit of back? Oh, the question went too fast. Okay. Okay, so there was a question as to what's the benefit of doing a back cutting. A back cutting is also doesn't give you a very solid line. It gives you a very textured, a more softer line. And it's also a great technique to work while you're working on a dry haircut. Okay, so you're texturizing even the perimeter of your section that you're cutting. Okay. Why it took diagonal sections in the fringe section? Can we take diagonal sections also? Yes, of course you have to take diagonal, Atul. The reason I took diagonal from the fringe section here is because I was doing an asymmetric, right? So if you notice, the hair here is shorter, and then if you notice, the hair here is longer, right? See, you can see the difference is shorter and longer. So I take a diagonal section, bring it here, and I'm holding my fingers parallel to my section. That's the reason why I took a diagonal, right? And that gives you more control for you to back cut into your section, maintaining it. So you see that I have a shorter length here and I have a longer length here. So automatically you get an asymmetric. Yeah, I hope I answered your question. Debajdi Baisak, I work for Matrix India. Thank you for asking. Flat brush, I think Kanko, I think I picked up when I was traveling abroad. I think when I was in Germany, that's when I picked it up. As a stylist, you know how it is. Wherever we go, the first thing that we want to go to is, you know, any beauty shop that sells hairdressing equipment. So that's where I picked it up. Okay, Nishant, is it okay to go with D parallel cut to create? Of course you can do that. You can do deeper point cuts to have a more softer effect towards your haircut. Can we do point cutting in place or back? Of course, Hiran, you can do point cutting as well, no problem. You can also do club cutting. You can even cut it absolutely straight, so there's no problem. Guys, please do not think that you only need to use the back cutting technique. Right? Please, you can use your point cutting technique or you can use your club cutting technique. Absolutely fine. And later on, if you want to texture it with a texturizing scissor or if you have a different way of texturizing, absolutely fine. I'm only sharing what I do. Please take my whatever you want to pick up from me and please introduce it into your vast knowledge. I'm sure you guys are great hairdressers. You'll do amazing work. Yeah, so okay, tilt the head while cutting the front side because Niti, the reason I tilted it because what happens when I'm tilted, so what happens, so the head is away from my client's face, and when I'm working with a scissor, you know, I don't want an accident, right? So I'm working with the scissor, making sure that her face is away from where I'm working. Great. Shweta, I would love to show short haircuts as well. Well, this is just the beginning. We look forward and let's see as we go. Kanko, I do teach, but I teach with, you know, at all our Matrix shows and our Matrix classes. Devendra Sharma, when you're conducting your next section, I have no news at the moment, Devendra. We'll let you guys know when I'm coming on next. So... any scissor using in back cutting process? I couldn't understand that, Hemaja Babu. I could not understand your question. Can you resend it to me? Can I know which scissors do you use? I was using a matrix scissor which I have for many years. A matrix scissor when I traveled to New York. And otherwise, I mean, a good hairdresser. I also I like the Jaguar scissors as well. The Jaguar scissors are very well. I even like the the Japanese handmade scissor. They are very good as well. Um, okay, baby haircut, Shilpi, baby haircuts normally it's always better to keep them with a blunt, so it is also easy for mothers to tie their hair up, or you can get it cut short if you don't want to. But babies with short haircut, because they don't know how to maintain it, it's always nice to keep it in a bob, in a bob, so it's easy for to tie up. Okay, so do I have any more other questions? Farhan, there's no name for a haircut because you keep doing different techniques. Haircuts got its names from famous hairdressers. Basically, if somebody did, I remember when, or a famous actress. I remember when I was a hairdresser, Dimple Kapadia's haircut was the most famous haircut. So every client that walked in wanted Dimple Kapadia's haircut. Right, so I think haircuts get their name from the famous people they carry it off. But because normally as hairdressers, you guys know that we work with 2, 3 different, 4 different techniques in one haircut. So basically, it's always better to say a nice layered haircut, so it's always better. A lob cut is something longer than a bob. Okay, so that's what a lob is. If I have to start as a hairdresser, where should I start from? Bhavna Kumar, there's a lot of hairdressing schools that is available. In Bombay, L'Oreal Professional, we do have a hairdressing school that is the only school of hairdressing worldwide with L'Oreal. So we do have a course with L'Oreal Professional as well. Nishant Kumar, any reason for love it violet? Nishant, to be very honest with you, violet always cuts the yellow and white, you see. So basically, I've not been coloring my hair. I'm just using a silver shampoo because I'm in lockdown. And I don't find the need to color my hair at the moment. Which hairdresser inspires you? Suhas, to be honest with you, my biggest inspiration comes from my first teacher, Blossom Coach, where I learned all my real tricks. But over the years with L'Oreal, Laurent was a great hairdresser, which I really used to be very inspired with. Guy Kramer. I've worked with a lot of with mentors. At the moment, the names are not coming to my mind. But yes, a lot of hairdressers have inspired me. Jyoti, like I told you, for long hair to maintain longer layers, it's always better to work with a square layer technique where you don't hamper the length at all. So that was for long hair, which I had spoken about in the beginning of my thing. Please, what is the different layers and steps? Okay, Maminder, every angle that you hold your hair at gives you a different effect, right? But also when I teach, I only work with a 0 degree, a 45 degree, and 90 degree, and anything over 90, I say it's over direction, right? So with every angle that you hold hair at, you end up having a different effect. Okay. Is it great? Thank you, Lotus. Thank you for your compliment. Thank you very much. Hi Mukesh, I'm very good. Thank you very much. Jyoti, thank you. I'm so happy that you guys have enjoyed. Nishant, okay, you saw my show 7 years ago. Great, Nishant. Have I improved since the last 7 years? Okay, great guys. I think now it's time for me to go. I would love to, I really thank you all very much for taking your time and tuning in. And I hope what I did for you today inspired you a little bit and you can take back and add to your knowledge. So thank you very much. Please stay safe, take care of your families and stay blessed.